On this episode of the Slices podcast, we have a special episode. One of the cast members from the Resonator, Miskatonic U, a new series on Amazon Prime. We have Dane Oliver.
Hey everybody, this is Jason Pelligra from the Slices podcast, and we have a special episode today. We're talking with the cast of the Resonator, Miskatonic U, and right now I have the main star of the show, Dane Oliver. How's it going, Dane?
Life's pretty good, honestly.
Good.
Got a pilot coming out in a couple days. That feels nice.
I know. That's pretty. You know what? Doesn't get any better. So I want to talk. Had you ever seen From Beyond before this project?
I hadn't. In fact, when I first auditioned for this, I actually had no idea that Miskatonic University was a Lovecraft staple. I had no idea what I was getting into.
Wow.
Yeah, not a clue.
So then what were your thoughts on that film?
Okay, so truth is, I actually still haven't seen it.
Oh, okay. Sorry, we won't.
No, that's okay. It's a fair question because, in fact, at this point, I've even had a lot of people be like, "Dane, you and Jeffrey Combs are so similar," and I'm like, I have no idea what that comparison means. Because I actively avoided watching From Beyond while we were doing it because I didn't want, I wanted to give the Resonator Miskatonic U.
Yeah.
I wanted to give it its own presence as its own piece of art, and I didn't want it to be too heavily influenced in my creation of by the works that came before, which is of course absurd. Yeah. I've now done my research and I've looked into it, and everything that ever was Lovecraft is influenced by what came before. Even when some of the big works are being created, it wasn't by Lovecraft, and that's created the mythos that we have today.
Yeah, that's a great point, and I like how I like how you kind of stayed away from the original and keep it fresh and stuff. And is it something that you think you might go back to one day?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Especially because the truth is our show is so referential. Oh my gosh, it's so referential. Yeah. I don't know exactly what our fan base is like yet, but if our fan base has watched From Beyond, they're gonna love this.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. Yeah. It's messed up. It's a messed up film, but it's good. It's good. I when you're a horror fan, that means good. So no, you'll. Were you worried when you sign on for a show like this? And this is one of the things with being H.P. Lovecraft. I mean, this could go anywhere. Like, are you worried that, in episode 8, your character's, wearing a thong, table dancing and stuff like that? Because this thing, it could.
Yeah, no, anything can happen. And that's one of the actual thrilling things about this. No, I'm not frightened because whatever we do is going to be supported by the story. Our writer-director, Billy Butler, is brilliant. Yeah. And he's going to keep the thrust of this thing going where it should. At the same time that I can never possibly predict where this thing's going next, I'm excited to see what happens with it.
Yeah. You got kind of a nice mix of veteran horror genre actors and Michael Pere and Amanda Wyss, and you guys you and Amanda have a really contentious scene, which is it's a real good scene, and you're mixed with a young, fresh-faced cast. You all seem relatively the same age and everything. How fun is that? Or is it not
it's
fun?
Interesting because it is. Oh my, it's great. Because the experience levels didn't really come into play much for me, at least. The whole cast gelled so well. This was one that we'd constantly be on set and we'd look at each other and be like, I can't believe that I get to work on this project with these amazing people.
That's awesome.
Getting to work with Michael Pere, getting to work with Amanda Wyss, was just as amazing as getting to work with Alex Keener and Amanda Jones. This was solidly awesome the whole time.
And you're one of the characters that has pretty much had scenes with everybody. I think you pretty much got to work with everybody, so it's kind of cool. You actually, I mean, there really wasn't too much of the first episode without you in it. I mean, you carried it. So and great job at doing that. Is this like a dream, really? Like for you? Like, I mean, obviously, if the show were to get picked up for 3 seasons, that'd be the dream. But I mean, you're on the cusp of potentially a hit show on Amazon Prime. It's a fun show to be involved. You got exciting cast. I mean, this has got to be a great time for you right now, no?
This is phenomenal. I love so much. I love when I get to do high stakes contemporary science fiction fantasy. It's the best thing you could ever do, because at the same time you get the adventure, you also get the shockingly modern dialogue, right? Don't get me wrong, I love doing the period stuff too, but when I can both be fighting monsters and then have a scene in the bar with my friends, it's just peak.
Yeah.
This show is peak.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, let's talk about your character. Why don't you give us a little bit of just an insight into the character of Crawford Tillinghast?
Yeah, fair enough. So Crawford Tillinghast has existed in the Lovecraft mythos for a long time. He's a character that Lovecraft wrote when he wrote, it was either called From Beyond or it was called Resonator. I don't remember at this point. And in that, he's a scientist who's descended into a type of agoraphobic madness as he works on this project. In our version, he is much younger. He is in college, an undergrad, and he's desperately trying to put together this project that killed his father. He's found his father's notes, and he wants to finish his last work, and does it. At the same time, though, there are tons of influences. There's actually a quote that I'm going to horribly misquote right now.
Paraphrase.
yeah. From the story. I loved it so much. The story that Lovecraft wrote takes place very much from a perspective like a Watson-esque best friend who's wandering into Crawford Tillinghast's mansion and seeing the madness that's gripped this man. And he says it's a mistake that a man of action and feeling like Crawford Tillinghast ever chose to study science and philosophy. He says that that such pursuits are better left to the cold and the calculating, that for people who feel and want to do with science, you can only have the despondency of failure or the horror of success.
One of the things I noticed with your character is I have no idea where you're going to go with it. I mean, because there's elements of everything in there. I mean, he's a nice, sensitive guy, but he's also the driven, focused, mad scientist type. Like there's a lot in there in just one episode that I've seen. That's got to be cool to play.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
I said it in a previous interview, and I think it's really sort of the best summation I have, is that Crawford Tillinghast is 100% a hero who's always one bad day away from being a supervillain.
Yeah.
And I think this episode a lot, the arc of these first 2 episodes, is him deciding which he cares about more, science or people. And he makes a decision. He makes a very clear decision.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is fun to get to play that arc.
What have you and William Butler, who writes and directs this, have you and Billy discussed where your character, the trajectory of your character?
We absolutely have.
Yeah. So you have any insights on that? You don't have to give anything.
Yeah, I know, right?
I don't want you to get in trouble, but
we have discussed the potential of Crawford to go a number of directions, and there are some of those that are very appealing and that I think will be very, very pleasantly surprising for the fans.
That's cool. Okay,
Yeah.
we'll take that. We'll take that nugget. What's it like working with him? Is he are you able to collaborate? Like, does he have a real clear focus on what he wants, or is he open to you coming up and saying, hey, what about this?
Both.
Yeah.
It's really wonderful because
That's
I
cool.
always know that Billy has an idea of what he wants.
Yeah.
I never feel like we're floating out in the abyss, lost in indecision and nothingness. But I can always come to Billy and go, hey, Billy, what if we did this? Hey, Billy, what if I tried this? And sometimes he'll look me dead in the eyes and say, no,
Yeah.
absolutely not. And I go, right, understood, back to my corner, thank you so much. But other times I can play around. I can be like, can we try it this way? Can we try it this way? And he goes, yeah, do that 100%.
Nice. Yeah, that's great. So I mean, again, adding to the luster of this this gig, having a director to take in your considerations for the character is awesome. Have you ever seen pictures of Billy in the 80s?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
Yes, I absolutely have. It makes me so happy.
So okay, but here's the thing. Okay, now we're gonna take away hairstyles, but I think you two look similar. I think I know why he cast you. I think
because he's egomaniacally trying to cast himself again.
I think so.
Dark. That's
I
dark.
think so. It is. It fits with the we'll take away no mullets aside. I'm not trying to insult you in any way. He was a good looking guy, and still is, but I'm just saying, I looked at some pictures and I think I get where he's going with you, but that could just be me, and I might get in trouble now for that. But,
no comment after I've probably already commented way too much.
No, it's okay. So let's talk about some of the content of this awesome project, and sex and sexual situations are H.P. Lovecraft, and I mean, so that's going to be part of it. How's that for you for filming that kind of stuff? As far as are you comfortable with it? Is it
Very.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it's the story, right?
Yeah.
And that's actually part of where I have to hand it to Billy, is that this thing gets sexy. But it gets sexy in the story. At no point do I feel like we're all just out there on sale to get public attention. Yeah. This is a well-crafted story. And as far as the sexy of Lovecraft goes, bring it.
Yeah.
That's part of the story we're telling, and I think that's part of the fun.
Yeah, no, for sure. And it's sexy weird because, it's not all full on, sex appeal without it being a little bit off-putting in a good way. Blood.
Lovecraftian horror kind of way.
Yeah. So blood and gore and goo and you, now you can pretty much be assured that this is going to be a staple through the series, but you got hammered in episode 1 right off the get-go. How's it working with KY all over you?
I cannot officially confirm that we were using KY jelly for our goo. I cannot.
Back in the day,
I cannot confirm that on the air. It's fun. It's more of the immersion in the world. It's goopy and it's weird, and when you try to take it off, at the end of the day, you always curse yourself a little. But no, I arrived home so many nights, still scraping the blood and the goo out of my hair, and I have never been so happy.
That's awesome.
What a thrill ride.
What a great attitude. How long did you shoot? How long was your shooting schedule?
Ready for it? We shot both episodes, so we shot about an hour of TV in 5 days.
Wow, that's
and intense. None of us thought it was possible. None of us. Oh my gosh, we showed up on set being like, so when are we going to get the extension? When are we going to find out we're shooting for another week after this? We did it. Wow. Man, we pounded through and we did it.
And that's tough because you had a lot of practical effects on set too, and that that stuff takes time. But you guys, wow.
Yeah. Well, and also, we're shooting in times of COVID, right? Mm-hmm. So there are a lot more restrictions. There's a lot more time-taking activity just to keep everyone safe.
Yeah.
So what would have been a monumental task before trying to shoot in a pandemic became, it's phenomenal that we got this thing done the way we did. Phenomenal.
Well, good for that's kudos to you. You guys got a good captain, I guess. So you've seen the first episode, and were you happy with it when you saw it? Because it's one thing to be on the stage doing what you're doing, but then to see it, how did it play the way you thought?
It's an interesting question. Did it play the way I thought? yes and no. I was not, this is going to sound like a hard plug, and I guess it is, but I was not ready for how awesome this show was. We were on set and we're doing it, and the entire time you're doing it, you're like, this is fun, but what's the end result really going to be? As you're, sitting tied to a chair covered in goo, and you're like, it's hard for me to imagine that this is going to be great. As you're like, there was one point where I had a blood gag with blood running out of my nose, which really just means I got waterboarded with blood for a half hour. And we'd cut between takes, and I'm hacking and spitting blood into this cup by the side, going, what am I doing with my life? And then the film comes out and you go, oh no, oh yeah, we did that, and that's great.
You're doing exactly what you want to do with your life.
Yeah, exactly. And then some, actually. Yeah.
What was the audition process like? Did you have heavy reads or?
So yes and no. Actually, just yes.
I was gonna say there's a lot of yeses and nos, but it's all good.
Fair. So mostly just yes. Yeah, I got the first scene. I went through a very standard audition process for this. I did the audition, I did the callback, I did the next callback, I had an interview with Billy, and on we went from there. But the first one I got was the scene between myself and Amanda Wyss, who plays Professor.
Oh shoot.
I know, right?
The Professor.
I know, the Professor. The Professor, that's terrible. I shouldn't have that on the tip of my tongue. Oh well. The scene between myself and Amanda Wyss in her classroom, which is this wonderful scene where we have it out about the nature of the universe and the various philosophies that we each follow. And it's both very high-minded and it feels very pissy college student. Which is great. It was so much fun to get to play that and to have a smart script in front of me. But it's also a solid, multiple pages of intensive science and philosophy dialogue. I was so excited when I got that and saw that it was written well and that I got to play with that.
Yeah.
And so I did that audition. And then I get the callback. Amazing. And I look at another 2 scenes filled with the same stuff. And like my head's exploding a little bit. I actually, I turned in the second audition way before I needed to, half just because I wanted to prove that I could wrap my mouth around that dialogue and spit it out. And then when finally I got to the audition with Billy, where he and I were sitting and talking, it was a little bit surreal because at this point I wanted the role. I wanted the role bad.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And now I'm sitting talking to him, and we read through the scenes again. He records us that he can send it over to the executive producer. And he looks me in the eyes and says, I will throw a tantrum if I don't get you for this role. Which is not something you're used to hearing in an audition. At no point does the casting director or the director or anyone look at you and say, you've booked it. No one does that. So to hear that and to go, I think that means I got it? That feels good. Yeah, it was nice.
It was awesome.
Nice. It was fun.
That's awesome. Yeah, I guess, you're never sure until you get it confirmed, but I guess the journey home was pretty sweet for you. Professor McMichaels is
Professor McMichaels. Yes.
All right. Sorry, I had to get it out now too. So I want to talk also about the location, or the set. I mean, that's a cool set. It looks like a really fun set to be on. Yeah, and it plays beautiful on screen. Want to tell us a little bit about, like mad scientist playing with all your toys on set?
Oh my gosh, yes. It was really magical. The first day I walked onto set, because I got there and I head up into this abandoned warehouse looking place, and I climb up these frightening rickety stairs, and I'm having someone, stick a nasal swab up my snout to find out if I have COVID or not before any filming can begin. And then finally, I think it was Austin Woods, who's an incredible actor as well, who tapped me on the shoulder and goes, "Hey, look at that." And I turn around and there's the Resonator, just like there in the middle of this space where I'm sitting. So phenomenal to see that kind of production in person, to get to play with, as close as you're ever going to get to the real thing. And then you're absolutely right, to get to have the levers and the keyboards and the whole apparatus to get to play with. Immediately before we started filming, I went over to my little workstation where I spent a great deal of these first 2 episodes and started playing and finding out from Dave, who was our props guy, what I could and couldn't plug and unplug and switch on and switch off. You know, what was practical, what wasn't,
Yeah.
what was going to break his machine, what wasn't, which I
Yeah.
did a
Oh,
couple
really?
of times. Yeah, that main lever, it got some rough usage. There were a couple times on set where I went, Dave, I'm sorry, Dave, I broke it. And he came over with the glue gun and the screwdriver and put it back together for me.
That's hey man, he probably left cursing you, but hey,
yeah, just hated me at the end of it. If I ever have to work with
Going.
Dane Oliver again, I'm out.
That's awesome. Yeah, and you kind of touched on it. I mean, that Resonator is like a cast member. That thing is like pretty intense. It's big.
Yeah, it gets its own close-ups.
Yeah. Honestly, talking with you has been awesome. I really enjoyed the first episode. I'm looking forward to watching more. I'm more looking forward to you and your cast and everybody involved getting, you know, full season of this, because I really think you deserve it. Yeah, thank you for this. And I know we'll be talking again about this, so I'm pretty confident about that. So just if you have any last words before we sign off.
No, I hope the fans love it as much as we do. And
they will. And where can these people see it? It is on Amazon Prime, February 26th, also on the Full Moon Features app. And if you get the app now, you will get all 12 episodes of The Puppet Master, and that's pretty cool because it's 12 Blu-rays. Dane Oliver, thank you very much, and I know we'll be talking again soon.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
That's it for the Slices podcast with Jason Pelligra. I'd like to thank the cast of Miskatonic U, the Resonator, for being on this awesome episode. Again, check it out on Amazon Prime, and we'll see you soon. Take care.